Hello there, and welcome to the show. And today I'm going to be talking about Demon Slayer Infinity Castle. This was the latest installment in the Demon Slayer anime franchise, as well as the first in a trilogy of movies to conclude the story of Demon Slayer. This film was released on September 12th. Let's talk about it. The movie picks up immediately after the events of the Hashira training arc. Our main characters, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and the rest of the Hashira are falling into the Infinity Castle in a final showdown to battle Muzan, the remainder of the 12 Kizuki, as well as Muzan's demon army, with the objective being killing Muzan, essentially fighting him until the sun rises so that he's killed by sunlight. That is the basic premise of Infinity Castle. I was not a big fan of the Hashira training arc, and I did mention that Demon Slayer does feel like a generic shonen anime that's carried by great animation. However, I still do enjoy Demon Slayer. I thought the first season, the Infinity Train movie, and the second season were all great, and I was very excited for this movie. And I gotta say, to me, this is the best installment in the Demon Slayer franchise. I loved this film. I thought it was great. First off, I mentioned animation earlier, and the animation quality in this film is phenomenal. ufotable, the work they do on Demon Slayer is truly magnificent, and this film is no exception. The animation quality in this film is meant to be seen on the cinema screen. It is genuinely amazing animation. How sharp the details are, the color saturation and vibrancy, the way action sequences are animated, background details. The Infinity Castle legitimately feels like a living character, even though it's a location, with the way it's animated. The way the animation is done in this film is genuinely great. The action sequences are incredible. Everything as far as animation goes in this film legitimately is phenomenal. ufotable are masters of animation. The animation quality in this film is great. The film opens with all the protagonists taking on background demon characters, letting us know who the main players are on the good guys' side. Everyone gets a moment to shine. This film follows three main battles. The first battle is Shinobu versus Doma, second one Zenitsu versus Kaigaru, and third one Tanjiro and Giyu versus Akaza. These are the three main battles that take place in Infinity Castle. Let's start off with the first one, Shinobu versus Doma, the insect Hashira versus upper rank 2 of the 12 Kizuki. I loved this fight. I thought it was great. Upper rank 2, the way he was introduced in this movie, I thought his introduction scene was done very well, and I really liked his backstory, his personality, as well as how his backstory tied into Shinobu's backstory. I thought that was done very well. I really liked the setup of Doma in this film. We got a little more detail on Shinobu's backstory, and it was revealed that Doma was the one that killed her sister, and her sister didn't want her to become a Hashira, but Shinobu wanted revenge. And that story, to me, played out really well in their fight. And this fight was essentially Shinobu trying to poison Doma. And the way this played out was done very well. The action, well animated. You could legitimately feel the desperation as her attempts to poison Doma failed. And the way the fight concluded was incredible. Doma winning was not a surprise. The way this fight played out was excellent, and this was an amazing first fight for this movie. The fight itself, the storytelling that happened within the fight, I thought both were done very well. This is the best presentation of Shinobu in Demon Slayer, and Doma, I legitimately cannot wait to see what this guy does in the second film. This fight was excellent. The second fight that took place in the movie is Zenitsu versus Kaigaku. Kaigaku apparently was introduced all the way back in season 1, but I legitimately do not remember this guy. He is the new upper rank 6 of the 12 Kizuki, replacing Daki and Gyotaro, and his backstory expanded on Zenitsu's backstory, how they were both students under the same master, but Kaigaku left, became a demon, and it was upper rank 1 that converted him, and what happened to Zenitsu's master. I thought the way this backstory was handled was pretty good. This actual fight was pretty solid as well. However, it is definitely the weakest of the three main battles that takes place in this film. Also, one thing I do want to mention, I wasn't a fan of how quickly this wrapped up. During the second season, the battle against Daki and Gyotaro, that spanned across several episodes. and in this movie it legitimately just occupied a few minutes. Kaigaku proved to be a disgrace to the upper rank 6 title. While I do feel that this was the weakest fight of the film, it was still a pretty solid fight, well animated. The actual action sequences, especially with the lightning animation that they did, was pretty well done in my opinion. And I thought this was a pretty good fight. And the outcome, again, not surprising to anyone. Zenitsu obviously was gonna win this fight. I just wish this had a little more time to it because I wasn't as invested in this fight as I was in Shinobu versus Doma and Tanjiro and Giyu versus Akaza. However, this was still a pretty good fight in my opinion. Our third and final main battle of this film, Tanjiro and Giyu versus Akaza. Akaza's introduction when he first appears in front of Tanjiro and Giyu, that was a great introduction to Akaza in this film. I mentioned animation quality a couple of times. The animation during this fight in particular legitimately was cinematic. This fight legitimately was meant to be seen on cinema screens. This was a masterpiece. This was a great action sequence. Also, this fight to me had the best part of the movie, that being Akaza's backstory. Akaza's backstory to me, no question, is the best storytelling Demon Slayer has done in its entire run, and what makes this film my personal favorite installment of the Demon Slayer franchise. Akaza's backstory, emotionally compelling, would be an understatement. I was fully invested in his backstory. You really felt for Akaza, everything that he went through, the pain and his backstory, it was very emotionally compelling. And the expansion on his character from when he was first introduced in Infinity Train up until now, and the redemption that he goes through, regaining the memories of his past life and the time he had with Koyuki and Keizo, it is legitimately heartbreaking. And how he became a demon when Muzan found him and what he ended up doing. Akaza's backstory, the way it was done, 10 out of 10 picture perfect storytelling. The actual fight with Tanjiro and Giyu, the choice of music, how creative they got with the animation. This fight legitimately was phenomenal. No question, the best part of the film from an action standpoint, and the best part of the film as well from a storytelling standpoint. This was a phenomenal fight. Everything about this fight was excellent. The choice of music as well, Tanjiro learning to hide his presence using a technique that Inosuke taught him working with Giyu, fighting together. Everything about this was excellent, and how the fight ended, legitimately great. This was no question the best part of the film in my opinion. I absolutely loved this. The best thing Demon Slayer has done so far. I only have one real issue with this movie, and that's the runtime. This movie clocked in at over 2.5 hours, and you do feel the length of the movie at certain parts. This movie definitely feels like a film that's 2.5 hours. While I would have liked for a few things to be condensed or cut down, I do understand that there was a lot of story for them to tell. To me, the runtime was a bit too much, but overall, I still think this is a phenomenal film. The best installment in the Demon Slayer franchise so far, with some of their best action sequences and no question their best storytelling with Akaza's backstory. I thought this was a phenomenal film. I had a great time watching it in cinemas, and I cannot wait for the second installment of the Infinity Castle trilogy. I thought this was a great film, and if you're a fan of Demon Slayer, you're gonna love this film. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram at Said_2000, and I will see you on the next video. Till then, take care.